Welcome to the Obesity Medicine Podcast with your host, Dr. Matea Rentia, board certified in internal medicine and obesity medicine. Here, we talk about a path to metabolic health, and we have real conversations about chronic weight management and living a full life. Just a reminder, I am a physician, but I'm not your physician. So everything that's on this podcast is for informational purposes, but please go talk to your doctor about what's right for you. There is no medical advice being given on this podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I have just had a most delightful lunch, and a skill that I'm working on right now is to slow down how fast I'm eating. I took a continuing medical education here recently. By the way, it was a Saturday from 12 to 6 at night. Sometimes I sit there, I'm like, yeah, I spend a lot of my weekends doing these trainings, but it was good. I'm always learning things. And it was like a throwaway comment that was made in one of the lectures, but they were talking about how basically one of the tools that they use in their clinic, they recommend that people set a 20-minute timer if they're a fast eater. And this is obviously something that at some point I've mentioned this, right? Doing monk meals where you're not talking and you're really able to mindfully enjoy your food, things like that, and setting a timer and putting your fork down in between. These are all just very rudimentary things that you can try. I go through this in my clinic where if someone's struggling with different aspects, these are the little kind of things that we're adjusting. And then there gets to more bigger boulders, if you would, but this is one of them. So I thought to myself, I set a timer and I thought, well, it probably takes about 15 minutes when I eat. No, friends, it was 9 minutes. I was like, okay, so that's my baseline is 9 minutes, and I'm going to work on slowing down. The thing that gets in my way is that I want to get back to the work I need to do, because I'm thinking, well, if I bring the food back to my desk and I eat when I'm working, somehow that's going to make it all better. And I know intellectually at this point, that does not work for me. It's as though I didn't eat the food. So I know I have to physically sit down at a table. I have to be doing nothing else. I've worked on a lot of things over time. But just seeing how quickly I eat, it's definitely something that I'm going to keep working on. So that's where I'm at right now. But I've been thinking a lot here recently about how people just really overcomplicate what is needed to work on their health. I see people, they're tracking 15 different things. We call this like the controller, where you think if I track and write and do enough things perfectly, everything's going to work out. You're wanting the perfect supplement plan. You have this analysis paralysis. Which option is the best thing for me to do? Meanwhile, simple basics aren't happening. So today we're just going to rewind it all the way back. And I want to talk about a few areas that if you're not doing this, stop trying to get fancy doing all this creative stuff that's way out there when you're not doing the basics. Number one, you guessed it, hydration. Now, it's simple, but everyone's not necessarily doing it. I always say that the best way to know if you're hydrated, it's to look at the color of your urine. If it's super dark yellow and concentrated, you know you need more fluid. If it's a really light color, you know you're doing great. Most people, it's going to be at least 64 ounces. Some people might push it up to 100. What's really going to dictate your hydration journey is where you're at, as far as if you just started a GLP-1, sometimes it's actually hard to get in all that fluid, but then as you're on it longer, that will get easier. One thing I would suggest, if it's hard for you as far as volume with food and liquids, to separate the liquids, to not have them at the meal. During the meal, you focus on getting the nutrition in that you need, and that you maybe wait 30 minutes to an hour until you have the liquids. The 2-3 hours between, when you're not right before another meal, you give yourself windows where it's either hydration or food. Obviously, plain water is amazing, but really everything counts. I don't care if it has caffeine in it. I don't care if you put electrolytes in it, although that's not mandatory. That's the billion-dollar industry that popped out of nowhere. Do whatever you need to do so that you like that liquid and you can get it down consistently. That's the first step here. Okay, number 2, and again, these aren't in a particular order. When you're listening to this, I want you to think about, hey, what area could I do a little bit of work with? And you just focus on that. The point is not to every single area now you go and do that. It's just don't overcomplicate. If you're not doing these things, you shouldn't be doing crazy CrossFit exercises. We'll come back to your number 2, fiber. For women, at least 25 grams or more. For men, at least 38 grams or more. This is not just about satiety. Your gut microbiome needs it. This is your colon cancer prevention. We are seeing younger and younger patients get colon cancer. They are in their young 40s. This is unheard of in the past. And one of the main reasons that we're seeing this is that with the rise of all this ultra processed food, people are literally not getting fiber in their diets. And this makes sense because if you're eating very processed, fiber is not necessarily appealing. It's not really part of things. I want you to get fiber from whole sources. You might have to take some time to figure this out, and that's okay because it's part of the process. That's the reason why in every single course that I do, but particularly that twice a year when I do 30/30, we talk a lot about fiber in that WhatsApp group. We're like, oh my gosh, what'd you make? That looks great. I'm like, oh, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot I could use lentils. Oh my gosh, forgot about avocado. Forgot about how good berries are for fiber, right? Sometimes when you see it happening in a group, you get a lot more ideas sparked. But work on your fiber, see where you are right now, do a little audit, and then up it by 5 grams. Don't go crazy. The reason you want to go nice and slow with upping fiber, it's because otherwise you have a lot of gas and digestive issues. So we don't want to go too crazy, but I want it from whole-based foods. I don't want it all from little gummies and things like that. Now, I'm not going to lie. The Groons, those little gummies that they have that have, I think it's 20 different types of vitamins in it. And the sugar-free one, those are the ones that I get. Each little packet is 20 calories, 6 grams of fiber. I love those, but I'm not relying on that being the only fiber source. There's a few per week, but don't get yourself into a situation where everything is, the low carb tortillas that have a bunch of that type of fiber stuff added. A lot of the times people end up having even worse digestive issues with that, but make sure you're getting your fiber, work on it slowly and keep it easy. Like a lot of the times when I'm working with younger patients and let's say they're busy in college, I ask them like, hey, can we add an apple with breakfast? Can you get a veggie party platter? You take your reusable Ziploc bag and you put a few baby carrots and whatever other veggies and you bring that for your lunch that you're going to have that with whatever you get at the cafeteria. Let's just make this easy on you. You can do this. You're just going to have to seek out those easy fiber options and it's going to take you time to figure out what you like. Okay. That's fiber. Number 3 here is going to be protein. And I want the data to guide you with how much you need. Most people need at least 20 to 30 grams, if not more, depending on gender and build and muscle mass, all that kind of stuff. But most people, if they're getting around 100 grams, are good. Now, do some of you need less? Absolutely. Some of you do just fine on 60 grams a day. Do some of you need much more, 140, 150? Absolutely. Okay, so how are you going to know this? I'm always going to recommend that you use a body composition scale. That's a bioimpedance scale, one that has 4 different touch parts, the 2 feet and the arms. I talk a lot about this. I did a mini course, Body Composition Decoded, where I talk about all of this, how to pick the scale, how to use the scale properly, when to use the scale, how to interpret the data, what to actually do with it, because no one talks about all this. And I'll do another episode on it. If you're not able to get that course, I'll talk about some of it. What's convenient in that course, though, is that I have all the formulas and everything written out in one handout. So you have all the little videos that you can go through. It's super quick, but then you have that resource that you can always calculate things like the percentage of muscle loss. Is it here and there all over my stuff? Yes. But who has time to go through 150 episodes to figure all this stuff out? So it's all in one spot. But with protein, if you're doing a monthly body composition, you will know if you're maintaining or not losing more than 10% of your skeletal muscle mass, that likely the amount of protein you're eating is good. I can tell you in that group 30/30 program that I was telling you about, it is very common that someone will say, well, my goal this week, I'm going to up protein. And my first question is always, how do we know it's a problem? And they'll say to me, oh, because they just assume, because we have some general goals and things that you can reach. And the reality is they're not losing muscle mass. They're doing great where they're at on their journey, the pace, everything like that. All signs point to there's nothing happening here that I need to change. So we're not trying to create problems where it's not, but if you're subsisting on granola bars and you're like, yeah, I'm just not getting the protein in. So that's food for thought there with the protein part. All right. Number 4 here is body composition. Again, same thing we talked about above. I don't want you to be obsessed with this, but I truly am of the belief if you're not using a body composition scale, it's like you have a blindfold on and I put you on the highway and I said, now drive. You would say, that's insane. I'm not doing this. It is really insanity to try to lose weight and to not know what is happening with the body composition scale. It's also not honoring likely how amazing your body is. You don't know if you have higher muscle mass. You have no idea about any of this. And all you're thinking is that number needs to get lower. I can't tell you how often when I have patients in the clinic and we're going through their body composition, I always say cat out of the hat. They decide some random number. And then we look at how much muscle they have and what's happening with their body. And I'll never forget this one patient, we calculated it. She would need to have 10 pounds of body fat. That's incredibly low. She would need to have 10 pounds of body fat to reach the number that she was talking about. And then she realized, okay, that's not going to be the goal that I'm going for. Body composition is going to help tell you, is it just fat that I'm losing? Am I able to hold on to muscle? Now, it's very normal when you're losing weight to lose some muscle. We just don't want to lose more than 10%, because the reality is muscle is so hard to put back on. Muscle is protective for insulin resistance. Muscle is longevity. Muscle is going to help you not fall when you're older. It's going to help with balance and flexibility. You need muscle. That's the engine and everything. We don't want to lose it. It is not fun to build up muscle later. In the best of circumstances, you can put on 0.5 pound a month. Like that previous episode where my patient came on the podcast who has done just flipping fantastic. She lost 17 pounds of muscle before getting to me. And I think if she'd known some of these principles, she's told me this, that she wouldn't have had to do that. And now you're in this position where then you have to recover that muscle. Now you might not recover all of it, again, because when your body is a smaller size, you might not need as much muscle. That's a whole different conversation. But in general, we're wanting to move you in the direction of health, not just that body size decreases. That's not what we're about. We're about health improving. Okay, so that's number 4, the body composition. Number 5 is sleep and rest. Sleep is self-understood. How many hours are you sleeping? But the real thing that matters here is you also need rest. It is not normal to be pushing all the time. You need rest. I want to give you an example within my business because the business examples are always so clear to me. So I'm someone where I want to be balls to the wall, max effort working all the time. And for me to say, okay, that is white space. That's the time I'm going to block. Like, no, on Friday, we end at this time. We don't work till 6 or 7 p.m. For me to do that, it's hard. But what I always notice is that when I rest over the weekend, when I do these things, I get so many great ideas. I feel I'm a better physician for it. Life is better, everything that's happening. So if I'm not resting, it's actually a disservice to everyone involved. We have this fallacy like, I got to be productive all the time. I've got to be doing stuff all the time. No. What if you realized that I am actually not my max healthy self when I'm working all the time, that I need that downtime? By the way, if your nervous system isn't used to this, I'm speaking to the professional people of the world that are listening here. You're not used to resting. You're probably used to overproducing, overfunctioning, over-delivering. When you're used to doing that, you don't know what it feels like to just sit on the couch for a little bit. You need to get used to that. You have to train yourself. This is normal. We can rest. I don't always need to be in motion to not feel okay. I'm not talking about those of you that you actually like to relax with walks or playing sports. That's a different thing. But my point is that you have times where there's enjoyment, where it's restorative. That's what I'm talking about. That needs to be part of it, because if you're not respecting the process, your body's not going to cooperate with you. This is honestly a lot of the time the biggest thing that's overlooked. Okay, number 6 on here is movement. And I want to separate 6 being movement and 7 being strength training. When I say movement, I'm talking about, do you walk? Do you stretch? Do you swim? Do you have a fun sport that you're playing? We are made to move. Everybody, unless you have a physical disability and you can't, you're in a wheelchair or you have neuropathy and can't feel your legs. There are many scenarios, but if you are able, please see this as the greatest gift that you can move your body, and let's work to increase your ability if we can. So maybe when you're just starting out, you just can sit up and sit back down. Amazing. Let's work on that. With time, can we get you walking? Can we build up? Again, if there's a medical condition, that's different. But if you can, we are meant to move. When we move, we have a lot of things happening. One of the things, BDNF levels go up. That's the topsoil of the brain. That's helping you with memory, focus, cognition. You need that. We all need this to feel better. That's one of the things. Your cortisol levels are better regulated. In my mind, minimum 30 minutes a day, you're moving your body in some capacity. This does not need to be intense. It just needs to be that you're moving. So I don't care if it's in little chunks, if it's all at once, we need to get you moving, and you slowly build this up over time where it's a non-negotiable. You're not like, do I walk? Do I not? It happens. On that day, it happens. You don't think about it. Number 7 is strength training. And this is really about protecting your muscle. If you are not challenging your muscle, you don't get to keep it. So I know that this is frustrating. Tends to be the biggest thing that I see people struggle with, but this is what is protecting your metabolism. And if you're someone, and put your hand up if this is you, because this is like everyone I talk to, if you're someone that worries about weight regain and you're not doing strength training, I don't know what you're doing. Because if your worry is to regain weight, why would you not do something that you know is going to help you? You know it's going to keep the engine going. You know it's going to be protective. There's so many things that it's doing. That is your greatest insurance policy against not regaining. That's one of the things. Of course, there's metabolic adaptation and a lot else going on, but you need to be doing strength training if you're worried about that. That is one way you can tell yourself, I'm doing everything I can on my side. I'm hydrating, I'm eating whole-based foods, I'm strength training, I'm moving. Then you know if the weight goes in a different direction, you know, well, I'm doing as much as I can do. And then I go to the doctor and I see, hey, what's going on here? What do you think? Or we do different audits, we do different testing. That's fine. But you've got to be doing the strength training. Does it need to be an hour every single day? No, it can be 10 minutes 3 times a week. You all know me. I like the Ali Nowitzki, her 10 minutes 3 times a week. It's app-based. It's easy. She's now transitioned it to where you have to get it through a clinic. On her website, she lists all the clinics that do it. We are one, the Rentia Metabolic Clinic. That means that you can reach out to that clinic and they can give you the link for you to be able to get it. So she's wanting it to go through the medical community, which makes sense because I have so many of my patients that do her programs and they do really well. And there's level 1, 2, 3. One is you can be in a chair, you can be holding onto a chair, and then it gets all the way up to level 3, which is more advanced. But the point is, it does not need to be super complicated, but we're going to be following that body composition. And if monthly we're looking okay, then we know that you're doing okay. Most of the time, it's not taking as much as people think it would for them to be doing a really great job. Getting started is key if you're not already. Okay, number 8 on here, and this, put the biggest star by it, okay? Systems over decisions. You cannot constantly be relying on motivation or I'll decide later if I'm going to strength train. Is today a day I do the walk? No, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You just do it. You don't debate your walk. You don't negotiate your water. It's just part of your life. That's the goal. You just do it. What is needed for this to be the case is that you have to build it out slow enough where one thing ends up being on autopilot and then you add another. That is what James Clear was talking about in the book Atomic Habits when he was talking about habit stacking, where you start to add one thing, you already have something there, then you add another thing in. You don't habit stack things that are uncertain where the whole tower is about to fall over. With this, if you're not getting water, get water and really lock that down for 3 months. Then work on protein, then work on fiber, whatever order makes most sense for you. Most people can't tackle everything at once. It's not sustained when they do it in that way. You slowly going at this stuff, making sure it is 100% on autopilot. You're not having to think about it. That's where we need to get. Because you have so many decisions to make throughout the day. You can't start the day already in agony. Am I going to get up and do the walk? What am I going to do? It needs to be all good to go. So I'm going to give you an example with me. The night before, lay out my exercise clothes. I put in a little stack in the bathroom because I get up earlier than my husband. I go in the bathroom, I get dressed, I try not to have the lights on and stuff. I go out, I get in the car, I already have my water good to go. The headphones are already next to me in the car. They get charged on the weekend. I'm not thinking about these things anymore. Same thing with a lot of the food choices. We need to have things where you've prepped it ahead of time, you've made the decisions ahead of time. I was looking at a video a week or 2 ago here and I found this. I don't know why sometimes these medical students, their accounts on social get suggested to me. And one of them, she's like a first, second, or third year. She's something where there's a lot of academic stuff going on. And she talks about how she always does her food planning on the weekend and all the prepping. And she said this line, I was never going to leave nutrition up to chance. Yeah, I had this moment where I was thinking, wow, if I had done that in medical school, I could have worked on all this health stuff a long time ago. But think about this girl studying 24/7. By the way, her body is the most fit I've ever seen. Why? She goes to the gym a few times a week. She has her nutrition locked down, and then the rest of the time she's studying. Like she's still able to do amazing things, but she's prioritizing it. She's not asking herself to constantly make decisions throughout the day. She probably wouldn't want to go for the healthy food once she's studying. I know because I've been there. You want to feel better. You want the dopamine hit. But if you have that thing already prepped and you just stuck it in the microwave and you start eating it, that's a different outcome. So we need things to be a system so that when you're not motivated, when you don't necessarily want to do the thing, it still happens. If you're feeling overwhelmed, just come back to this. You've got a few things here that you can look at. Is there one of them that needs work? Then let's pick one small area with that and really do it and again until you are feeling mastery with it. If you're going to do this approach, you're going to be ahead of 90% of people. It's not complicated, but it does take honesty and it does take a willingness to change things and to see, am I really doing what I think I should be doing, or am I kind of making false problems for myself? And what I mean by that is, are you actually creating drama where it's not needed? Or can we just make this way easier? If you every single day would ask yourself, how can I make this easier? How can I make this easier? You get a totally different result. I really like my friend and colleague, Amanda Sabaker. She talks a lot about this in the business world, that it's the elegant solution. It's the simplest thing where when you get to it, everyone says, oh my gosh, why didn't I think about that? And then you realize, yeah, because you thought it had to be so complicated and crazy and Frankenstein-y that you weren't thinking of just the most simple, easy thing in the world. That's always the thing that solves it. All right. I hope that this episode was helpful for you. Have an amazing rest of the week, and I'll see you Monday. That marks the end of today's episode. But if you're newer to the podcast, I want to tell you about something that we have, and it's a free podcast roadmap. So this is perfect for any of you that are listening where you want to be directed to very specific episodes. So let's say that you are just starting out and you want to know, what should I do right when I start on the medications? Or you're experiencing certain side effects on the GLP-1s, or you want to know what to do if you're in a plateau, or if emotional eating is taking over, or if hunger levels are high. So we have many different categories of episodes that we've talked about, because there's a lot at this point. So if you want to be able to navigate that very easily, we have it broken down by category and also the episodes that are there, and we hyperlink to everything. So you can just click on it and find the episode, easy peasy. If you want that, you can go to rentiaclinic.com/podcast roadmap. We'll have it linked right here underneath the show notes where you're listening. And you can go ahead and get that free resource so that it makes it easy for you to navigate, because I know that it's really hard when someone has an established podcast. I am such a podcast fiend, listening to podcasts all day long. And when I find one that I love, but there's a lot that are out there, I am so lost. So I hope that you enjoy this free podcast roadmap. Again, the link to get to that is going to be rentiaclinic.com/podcast roadmap. I hope this is helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.